The blaring alarm cut through the quiet like a knife. It was 5 a.m., and a harsh buzz shook the silence of a modest studio apartment tucked between crumbling tenements in Queens. Natalia Ramos groaned and reached for her battered clock radio, silencing it with a sluggish hand. The ceiling above her bed was cracked and water-stained, flickering shadows from the streetlight outside, casting ghostly patterns on the peeling paint. She stared at them for a moment, then closed her eyes and whispered the words her grandmother used to say in Spanish, now repeated in English, one day at a time. One step forward. By 6:30 a.m., Natalia had already stepped through the service entrance of the Eldridge Grand Hotel, one of Manhattan's most iconic luxury establishments. Her name tag read, Housekeeping Natalia. She was responsible for the 5th floor that day. Rooms, corridors, the executive lounge. Sometimes the breakfast buffet, if they were short-staffed. She was swift, quiet, efficient. Invisible, as most of the staff were trained to be. The management liked it that way. But Natalia Ramos was not the woman she appeared to be. Years ago, she'd graduated top of her class in foreign languages at Hunter College. Fluent in English, French, German, and most recently Dutch. It was Dutch that stole her heart after a guest lecturer from Amsterdam spoke passionately about the complexity and beauty of the language. They'd stayed in contact after the semester ended, and he had mentored her virtually ever since. His name was Dr. Willem de Vries. Life, however, had different plans. Her mother's diagnosis had emptied their savings. When her mother passed, Natalia was left with mounting bills and no financial cushion. She took the first job she could find, cleaning rooms at the Eldridge Grand. But she never stopped learning. Every night after work, she'd take the train to the Brooklyn Public Library, using the free computers to complete Dutch language modules and chat with her mentor online. This morning felt like any other until it didn't. While dusting outside the penthouse suite, she heard footsteps and instinctively stepped aside, lowering her eyes. 3 men in dark suits walked by, but one stood out. He was tall, with silver streaks in his dark hair, dressed in a finely tailored navy suit with no tie. He had a quiet presence that commanded attention without demanding it. That man was Damien Ashcroft, the reclusive billionaire owner of the Eldridge Grand. The staff rarely saw him. Rumors swirled about his Patan orphan turned real estate magnate, obsessed with discretion and detail, known to fire senior managers over a single oversight. He was mythic among the hotel's workforce, and he walked past Natalia as if she didn't exist. Or so she thought. Later that day, during her lunch break in the staff lounge, Natalia sat alone with a Tupperware of leftover rice and lentils. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Dr. Dividius. You passed your certification. Call me. Natalia's heart leapt. She scrambled to her feet and called immediately. Did I really pass? She asked in Dutch, the words tumbling out of her mouth. Passed. Willem chuckled. You aced it. Professional fluency. Tears welled up in her eyes. Years of study, sacrifice, and struggle had finally borne fruit. She was still laughing and chatting in Dutch when the lounge door creaked open. She turned and froze. Damien Ashcroft stood at the threshold, his eyes sharp and assessing. I didn't mean to intrude, he said, his voice even and cool. Were you speaking Dutch? Natalia fumbled to end the call and stood up. Yes, sir. I'm sorry I was on break. It's fine, he said, stepping inside. Where did you learn it? I studied languages in college, she replied, eyes downcast. It's kind of my thing. There was a pause. She expected a reprimand. Instead, he asked, What's your name? Natalia Ramos. He repeated it, almost testing the syllables. Then he nodded. Thank you, Natalia. Enjoy your lunch. He turned and left. She stood there, stunned, the air buzzing with confusion and possibility. The next morning, her supervisor pulled her aside. Human Resources wants to see you. Now, Natalia's heart sank. Had she broken some rule? She walked to the HR office, palms sweaty, stomach twisting. The director, Mrs. Karen Dillon, gestured to a seat across from her desk. Mr. Ashcroft has requested that you be reassigned, she said, adjusting her glasses. Effective immediately. Reassigned, Natalia echoed, unsure she'd heard right. You're now the Associate of International Guest Relations. It's a newly created position. You'll be working directly with our high-profile guests, especially those who don't speak English. Natalia sat frozen. I don't understand. You'll handle translation, hospitality coordination, and cultural consultation. It comes with a substantial pay increase, triple, to be exact. Is this real? She whispered. Mrs. Dillon offered a rare smile. Mr. Ashcroft doesn't make whimsical decisions. He believes your talent is being wasted. Her head was spinning as she walked out. She passed the same hallway she cleaned every morning, but today it looked different, richer, more alive. Had everything changed just because of conversation in Dutch? By that afternoon, Natalia stood in the mirror of the staff dressing room. Gone was the janitor's uniform. She now wore a navy skirt, silk blouse, and elegant leather flats. Her new name tag read, Natalia Ramos, International Guest Relations. It looked surreal. Outside the executive suite, she hesitated. A bellhop opened the door for her. Damien stood inside, staring out over the Manhattan skyline. When he turned to see her, his eyes softened. You look the part, he said, motioning to a chair. How does it feel? Like I woke up in someone else's life. He chuckled faintly. Maybe you're waking up in your own. They sat, alone, without assistance or formalities. He poured 2 coffees himself. I created this position for you, he said plainly, because when I heard you speaking, I realized I've been blind to the people right in front of me. You weren't just translating words, you were translating humanity. She stared, overwhelmed. But I've never worked in diplomacy. I don't know anything about international business. I didn't hire you for etiquette, he replied. I hired you for empathy. The rest can be taught. That afternoon, Natalia accompanied Damien to a high-stakes meeting with Dutch investors. As introductions were exchanged, she greeted them in perfect Dutch. The tension eased immediately. She interpreted with poise, bridging cultural gaps with grace. When one investor posed a culturally nuanced question, she stepped in to explain before Damien answered an elegant save that shifted the room's mood entirely. After the meeting, he turned to her in the elevator and said, You saved that deal. Natalia exhaled shakily. I didn't think I could. I knew you could. I saw it the moment you answered that call. Later, he invited her to join him at his favorite placia, quiet rooftop garden on the city's edge. The stars shimmered faintly above them as they sat on a weathered bench, sipping wine from paper cups. I used to clean hotel rooms too, Damien told her. My father was a janitor. This was his dream. I made it happen, but somewhere along the way I lost sight of people. She listened, heart open. I've made billions, he added, but I've never felt what I felt watching you work today. He turned to her. I don't know when it happened, but I stopped seeing you as an employee and started seeing you as someone I couldn't imagine my life without. Natalia felt her breath catch. This is real for me too, she whispered. But people will say I don't belong here, that you only chose me for the wrong reasons. They'll say what they want, Damien said, but I know the truth. And if you walk away to protect your reputation, I'll understand. But if you stay, I promise, no one will ever question your worth. Not while I breathe. She reached for his hand, firm and steady. I'm not walking away. Months passed. Natalia was promoted again director of international strategy. She now led deals across continents, flying between New York and Amsterdam. When the hotel's European expansion opened, it was Natalia's name listed alongside Damien's. And when the media asked who she was, he answered simply, She's the reason we're here. Back in their private suite in Amsterdam, overlooking the quiet canals, Damien pulled her close. What are you thinking? He asked. Natalia looked at him, eyes shining. About how everything changed because I dared to answer a call in Dutch. About how I almost gave up. About how love found me when I least expected it. He smiled, pressing his forehead to hers. And in that moment, there was no past, no fear, no doubt, only a future neither of them had imagined, but both were ready to build.